Hello and welcome to another bot bash. My name is Unnormalism, and if you've never seen a bot bash before, the premise is simple. We take as many bots as possible, put them in as small a space as possible, and watch it duke it out. Today we're watching Total War Warhammer 2, and we have a nice array of elves versus the undead. We have the High Elves, the Wood Elves, and the Dark Elves, all united against a common foe of Tomb Kings, Vampire Counts, and Vampire Coast. So, should be a lot of fun, and we've got our sneaky little Skaven observer hiding in the corner, keeping an eye on how the battle plays out for us. It looks like the elves have brought their usual fun of a bunch of arrows, some monsters, cavalry, very light on the infantry. Representing the Dark Elves, we have Crone Halibron right there. Representing the Wood Elves, we have Drycha. I'm not entirely familiar with her. You'll have to forgive me, I don't know a lot of the Warhammer lore, but I'm a big fan of the games. And lastly, we have Teclis representing the High Elves. So as you can see, there's a lot going on here. And once the battle goes underway, there won't be a lot of time to talk about everything. And I'm not exactly an expert on this game. It's just a lot of fun to watch the violence that ensues. So we're going to whip around over to the other side where we cannot see the foe, but they'll quickly appear, and we'll try and run through them real quick. So you see spells immediately going off. Again, a front row of shooters who are going to get charged by cavalry pretty quickly, I assume. Artillery off the side, monsters, chaff and fodder, ghosts and the like. We have High Queen Khalida leading the Tomb Kings. Up the back we have Luther Harkon leading the Vampire Coast. And somewhere in here, I'm not sure where he's hiding, is Helman Gorst. He was around. Oh, is that him up there? Helman Gorst, he's running around with his corpse guard. We see some cavalry coming over to the side, skirmishing with archers and pikes. Looking for somewhere these Blade Riders to go in as the front fight starts to get underway. And we're just going to see everything slamming into each other. So to do this, I hit randomly generate or pre-generate an army for each of these factions and just let it go. And there we go, a Phoenix Fire going off. I'm not sure what that is actually called. A big waste. Look at that. Shot all the way to the back. That must have cost some magic. We see no real side defending here for the elves, and it looks like the undead are actually all over their ranged units right now. There's carrion going in. They won't last long, but it's really taking away from the elves' strength, which is their massive range capabilities, while the undead tend to favor their melee focus. I mean, it comes and goes depending on which team you are playing and watching, but it would say it tends to favor more into the melee front lines and those monstrous creatures and constructs and all the different good stuff you can get. It feels very much like the elves are cracking in the front line due to their poor melee fighting, their lack of infantry. You see very little standing in the way. You've got some dryads, some eternal guards. The monsters are still holding in the heroes, lords and the like. Still holding the front, this Frostfire Phoenix, or is it just a Frostheart Phoenix, sorry. Holding the side here against this magical infantry. I think that's actually, is that a good matchup? Does it do magic damage? Yes, it does. So magic damage, very good against those ethereal units. You see the elves now freed up at the back are just going to start unloading their ranged attacks, which they really need to do if they wish to pull ahead. We've already seen quite a bit of damage taken on both sides. Look at this massively low health with the Fell Badge, the Crypt Ghouls. They're not long for this world. We see a charge coming in from the side from the Hex Wraiths. Looks like they're trying to get over here onto the archers, but there are some Illyrian Reavers to intercept, and this poor Sorceress of Shadow caught in the middle. Up the front, High Queen Khalida is putting herself into a dangerous situation amidst the enemy cavalry and right next to some Shadow Warriors from the looks, some archers. Overall, looks like the undead are slightly pulling ahead. However, Luther Harkon's been dived on by this Frostheart Phoenix. A lot could change very quickly, and the elves can back up and kite, and hopefully they will do that instead of standing still and getting swamped. But this Elven batch, I would say, is out of the picture at this point. Completely surrounded and overwhelmed. What is going on here? Another big Phoenix Phoenix of sorts. Gonna burn straight through there. I think that did some friendly fire, but oh, the carry on through. I was actually good carrying through those undead in the back. One thing I'll say about the undead in this battle is they are very light on magic. Gives a real advantage to the elves, who have brought a lot more to the table there. And we see a whole barrage of arrows going into here, but not actually achieving all that much right now. They're having a real hard time getting through these sheer bulk of numbers and putting them down. Hex Wraiths just dancing around. I think they are actually attacking this sorceress, Shadow Sorceress, but there's not a lot for them to go in. Like they can only cover with so many enemies. Yeah, now it looks like the Hex Wraiths are onto the archers, and this is going to be a quick mowdown from here for the elves. They're not long for this world, I imagine. Still holding a pretty solid front line thanks to the Heroes and Lords. What happened to that Phoenix? The Manticore rampaging there. I think the Phoenix must have died or been driven off. The elves will recover, you know, some of their retreating units, whereas the undead will just stand and fight until they die, which does, I'd say, lend an early immediate advantage to the undead. However, as the battle progresses, it does seem like the elves are increasingly pushed back further and further, and they don't have a strong line to defend. You see a lot of units starting to waver here. If they could just break their morale a little more, and there's that Frostheart Phoenix right in the center. If they could just crack through some of these undead, it would really take away from the strength of the undead factions here, the Undead Alliance. But they are so overwhelmed. Good hit there from a fireball function. Where did that come from? I have no idea. The Frostheart Phoenix looking to get some space and come back in for a charge. These mortars have been useless. Here we go, dives back in, slams into the corpse guard. Over the side here, the elves, Elven archers, are unfortunately forced to run and run and run, unable to fight. Oh, and they've discovered Algracia, so he's gonna run off to a corner and hopefully get driven off the map before long. He's not actually meant to contribute, he's meant to just scamper, see what's going on and get out of there. What's all the way back up here? We've got an Elven Chariot and some archers. It seems like these could... Oh, that's Tomb King's Chariot driving off these units. Yeah, that's the indicator. Looks like the elves are about to be driven out of this map. And there it goes. Army loss penalty has kicked in, and we will see that the last of whatever remains of the elves is going to go from the map. Let's see how Gracie are doing up here. Run away, fool! Run away! You have to report back to the Skaven. There we go. And that was defeat. But it was a good showing of both sides. So let's just have a real quick look, post-mortem, what went down there. And as we can see, the losses of the elves were kind of brutal. Go through the different armies here. So we had the Frostheart Phoenix didn't really bring to the table. Teclis was in the center. I think it was his spells that really were the big hitters there. You can see that damage dealt and the value he got out of that was massive. Dryka, similarly in the center, doing a lot of damage. Was that Dryads? Did amazing for what they were, but the value they got out of them wasn't actually that much. It looks like they were mostly fighting chaff, which, to be fair, that's probably what they're good at. Crone Helibron, similarly, looks like she did a lot of damage, but didn't get nearly as much value as Dryka or even as Teclis did. Meanwhile, on the Tomb King's side, High Queen Khalida pulled her weight, I would say, seeing some big performances from these Storm Riders and Skeleton Chariots, possibly overstated even. The Carrion, well, they served their purpose, and you can see the Ushabti definitely pulled their weight. Archers doing amazing work in these battles. Actually, that'll be something worth checking out. Where are the archers for the elves? There we go. Archers there did massive. Switch down here. Good work from the archers again. The spear riders really failed. The infantry again seems like it was what let the elves down. Luther Harkon actually didn't do so much that battle. Nor did the Hex Wraiths, which... Oh, that's the Sirens, sorry. Wrong team, I'll get to the Hex Wraiths soon. That animated Hulk's really carrying a lot of weight there. The Mortar's doing an amazing job. A lot of the Gunners actually underperforming, I'd say, but the Depth Guard definitely holding that front line would have been invaluable. So yeah, from Luther Harkon, it mostly seems like these were the three linchpins that contributed to the battle. I'm surprised the Mortars did. I didn't see them performing so well, but that might have just been me not seeing it. Darkshot's doing very poorly. Where have we got? Cold One Chariot, Manticore. Yeah, from the Dark Elves, looks like they were the ones who really dropped the ball for the Elven Alliance there, unable to bring it to the table. And so here are the Hex Wraiths. Good damage, good value rather. Um, no surprise that the Fellbats were worthless. The Gunners, alright. Graveguards did decently. Ghouls, yeah, it looks like, okay, Helmand Gorse also didn't really contribute much to the battle, personally or with his team. It was just those Hex Wraiths that sort of came to the aid of the team. But overall, I guess he just had a lot of chaff, which might have been enough, to be honest, to get in the way of the enemy and really bog them down. But that's how it goes. That is the defeat there. The undead have overwhelmed the elves, and that'll be all for this one. So thank you. I know it was a bit short, but that's kind of to be expected when the teams are AI and they basically just right click on each other. In this case, they're not very strategic. It lends itself to really exciting instant ended battles. So join us again next time for some more bot bashing, and I look forward to doing more crazy wild things. See yous.